Midnight. A lone figure, silhouetted against the moon, approached the abandoned mansion. The wind howled and the trees swayed like ghostly specters. The figure, a young woman named Sarah, shivered. She pulled her jacket tighter, steeling herself for what lay ahead. The mansion loomed, a towering beast against the night sky. Its windows, like vacant eyes, stared back at her. Taking a deep breath, Sarah pushed open the creaking iron gate and stepped onto the overgrown path. A cold, unseen hand seemed to grip her heart. Every step felt heavier than the last, as if the mansion itself was trying to warn her away. But Sarah was not deterred. The door groaned open, releasing a musty odor. Dust motes danced in the faint moonlight, filtering through cracks in the boarded-up windows. Sarah stepped inside, her footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. She found herself in a grand foyer, its former glory hinted at by the remnants of an elaborate chandelier hanging precariously from the ceiling. Cobwebs draped everything like macabre decorations. As Sarah ventured deeper into the mansion, each room she entered was more desolate than the last. Portraits on the walls stared down accusingly, their eyes seeming to follow her every move. The silence was broken only by the creaking of the house settling around her. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. In what was once a library, Sarah discovered a hidden compartment behind a bookshelf. Inside she found a leather-bound diary, its pages brittle with age. The diary belonged to a woman named Elizabeth, a former resident of the mansion. As Sarah read through the faded ink, a tragic tale unfolded. Elizabeth wrote of her family's descent into madness and despair. Her husband, driven to the brink by financial ruin, had taken to drinking heavily. He became increasingly erratic and abusive. One night, in a drunken rage, he took his own life in the very room where Sarah now stood. Elizabeth wrote of strange occurrences, of cold spots and disembodied whispers. She believed her husband's spirit haunted the mansion. The entries grew increasingly desperate, filled with paranoia and fear. Section 4. The haunting begins. A sudden crash from upstairs shattered the silence. Sarah jumped, her heart pounding in her chest. She froze, listening intently. Silence. Then the distinct sound of footsteps, slowly descending the stairs. Heavy, deliberate footsteps. Clutching the diary to her chest, Sarah backed away slowly. She felt a cold spot form around her, the air growing heavy and oppressive. The temperature dropped noticeably, sending a shiver down her spine. The footsteps grew louder, closer. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Section 5. Trapped. Panic surged through Sarah. She turned and ran, her heart pounding in her chest. She raced through the darkened hallways, the diary clutched tightly in her hand. The footsteps pursued her, relentless and echoing in the silence. Doors slammed shut in front of her, seemingly of their own accord, barring her escape. She was trapped, caught in a terrifying game of cat and mouse. The mansion seemed to twist and turn around her, its hallways becoming a labyrinth from which there was no escape. Sarah stumbled and fell, the diary slipping from her grasp. As she reached for it, a cold, unseen hand clamped down on her wrist. She screamed, a primal sound of terror that echoed through the empty mansion. Section 6. The final warning. The apparition's grip tightened, sending a jolt of pain through Sarah's arm. She thrashed against its grasp, but it was too strong. As she looked into its eyes, she saw a reflection of her own terror. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the apparition vanished. Sarah lay on the cold, hard floor, gasping for breath. She was alone, but the feeling of dread lingered, heavy and suffocating. Scrambling to her feet, Sarah stumbled back to the library. She had to get out of this house, but as she reached for the door, her eyes fell upon the open diary lying on the floor. The final entry, scrawled in Elizabeth's shaky handwriting, seemed to leap out at her. "He's trapped me here," it read. "He won't let me leave, and now he's coming for you."